everybody, I'm your host Jerry Gatka, my co-host today.
Chantel Fielder.
And we're talking today with Jay Bittner, a little different topic. We're talking about the Engineers Club, but we're talking about another activity going on there, the opera company. Don't miss it, it's something you have to hear. Welcome everybody. This is Top of the Morning Show. I'm your host Jerry Gatka. We're here today with my co-host Chantel Fielder. Say hello, Chantel.
Hello.
And our guest Jay Bittner, who we've talked to before, but now we want to talk to you about opera at the Engineers Club.
Certainly. One of our artists in residence groups at the Engineers Club, of which there are four, is the Baltimore Concert Opera. They were founded about 6 years ago. At the time that the former Baltimore Opera Company was going down. But it has grown into a wonderful and now gaining nationwide prominence opera company. They just this fall premiered an opera called Amleto by Franco Faccio.
Do they perform at the club? Or?
They perform at the club in the ballroom. And this opera had not been performed in well over 100 years. It got a lot of nationwide press for that. But what you're alluding to is where do they perform? They perform in the ballroom, which is beautiful, has a small stage at the front. They perform...
And the acoustics?
Acoustics are gorgeous. I mean, the hall was originally designed for Mrs. Garrett and Dr. Jacobs to have entertainment for their guests. They would have down previews of Broadway shows, the world's leading chamber musicians and singers in concert. And that's where they would entertain heads of state, sitting and past presidents. And so when you go to the concert opera and you sit in that same room, your mother would certainly be comfortable. And what's wonderful is when you go there, you're sitting in what seems like a very large salon concert in the finest, most regal home you've ever been in.
Well, that sounds very interesting, but seeing it is better than talking about it, so let's look at some highlights. We've got some clips. We'll be right back. have expected it to be as spectacular there as it used to be at the opera company, but it's
well, it is quite stunning. I mean, it's both intimate.
So far,
it's yes, being intimate like that gives you a real instant connection to the artist. They have a super title screen that allows you to follow along with all of the action. But also, they have wonderful connections. They bring in artists that are singing on the world's best stages, the Metropolitan, San Francisco Opera, La Scala, Covent Garden.
How come we don't know about this? How come it's not promoted more?
Well, I mean, they are a small arts organization. Their first production started with a $7 marketing budget, so you don't get a lot of marketing there. But they are gaining in prominence. They've been doing more radio ads, so they're getting the word out more. They also have basically grown this cult following. I mean, it's a smallish room. You can only fit 222 seats in it. And I know that their production right now is sold out. So they have 2 performances and every seat has been sold. So they're getting the word out, but it needs to grow prominence.
How often do they bring shows in?
4 times a year they do productions. So they've had 2 this year, and then they'll have 2 more coming in the winter and spring. In the winter, they're going to do a wonderful production that talks about the lives of 2 great female artists, Leontine Price and I forget the name of the other, but I'm sure someone else will remember.
The performers, are they local? Or
some are local and some are brought in from abroad. So you might have, say, wonderful baritone from Baltimore City, Timothy Mix, might be performing on stage, but he may be performing with a colleague who has flown in from as far away as San Francisco or Miami.
It's interesting. I've not heard anything about this in the past. And I was a member, I was a subscriber to the old Baltimore Opera Company. Well,
one of the things that the company wasn't able to do is buy the old subscriber list from that company, so they couldn't have reached out to all of them. But they are there and very easy to find online. Their website is very simple, BaltimoreConcertOpera.com. BaltimoreConcertOpera.com. Look it up, and we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Julia Cook. I'm the Executive Director of Baltimore Concert Opera. We're artists in residence here at the Engineers Club. And tomorrow night, November 21st, we open our La Traviata, one of the most beloved operas of all time. We are a 6-year-old company, and we have grown and become sort of a staple in Baltimore, which has been really exciting for us. And we have sold out performances this weekend, which is always wonderful to see. So we welcome the public to come to buy I think we have 3 tickets left for tomorrow night's performance and none left for Sunday right now, which is always a good thing. In February, we will be doing a production in honor of Black History Month called This Little Light of Mine, which is a program that will be performed by Adrienne Danrich, who is a wonderful African-American soprano. And this is the stories of Marian Anderson and Leontine Price, who were African-American stars who paved the way for modern African-American singers. And this is a wonderful piece that features the development of African-American singers in opera and how they have come to where they are now, which is in a wonderful place. So it's kind of a living documentary, is it how it is described, and it will be a really nice way to feature these wonderful singers. We're very excited about it. So women in the opera, of course, operas are written how they're written, and there are female characters and male characters. And so there are these sort of very famous operatic characters like Violetta in La Traviata, which we are producing this weekend. And usually the sopranos have these very big dramatic roles, and this particular opera, it's sort of a journey of, she's actually a courtesan. So we get to see into this life of a woman who was not well respected in her time, but really was a very good person. And so it's a great journey for the artist, the female artist, to be able to explore that kind of character. And then we come to the other side of the table. Myself, as a female administrator, I I am a singer myself. I sang for years and I'm concentrating on this side of the table now. And there are actually a lot of women opera administrators these days, which is really nice to see. I don't think of myself any differently. I'm a mother, I'm a singer, I'm an administrator, and I do my job just like anybody else would. And I'm thrilled to have this opportunity to be a role model as a woman, which is a really great thing to be able to do.
great booming voice?
He meaning Jay Bittner, our guest.
Well, thank you. I mean, I suppose I also should confess that I am a professionally trained opera singer. And that is why I have nice close connection with the Baltimore Concert Opera and help to bring them to the Engineers Club. And one of the great other things about having that artist company there is that they do collaborative work with other artist groups.
It just occurred to me, since you have the concert artist there with Ed Polachek, and now the opera company, is there any talk or possibility of bringing two of those together?
I don't want to overstep my bounds, but I know that behind the scenes there are conversations going on to bring those two groups together. And I know that the Baltimore Concert Opera is all about collaborative artists. They did a beautiful production this past spring where they invited a silk artist to come in who live painted silk hangings during the performance of Pearl Fishers. and it was stunning. It was absolutely one of the most beautiful operatic experiences.
You won't believe what just flashed through my mind. I had this picture of the Chinese silk. You said silk.
Silk, yes.
The silk that they do the acrobat type thing with the silk.
Right.
And with the concert artists and the opera in the background, I could just picture that image in my head of this production.
Well, it was beautiful. There was large silk canvases that were backlit, and the artists would stand behind them and paint. And because they were backlit, as you were listening and following the audience, you would see a scene from the opera come to life on the silk.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely.
I can't even picture it, but I want to. So the next time you have something like that, please let us know.
Certainly. The
dates and times of when the opera company performs. Can we find all of these types of activities, the opera in particular, on your website?
You can find them on the Garrett Jacobs Mansion website. They're all artists and residents of the Garrett Jacobs Mansion. And that website is ubiquitous www, garrettjacobsmansion.org.
We have only a little bit more time left, Jay. Any last thoughts on what you'd like to tell our audience?
Yes, I'd like you to know that going to the Baltimore Concert Opera is extremely affordable. Tickets start as low as $25 to each concert, and that's quite an affordable night out for live entertainment in one of the most gorgeous spaces in Baltimore.
And especially with the quality of the talent that you're talking about there. Opera is something that's been left out of the Baltimore arts community for some time now, since the opera company left town.
That is true, but there are those like the Baltimore Concert Opera and Lyric Opera Baltimore that are working very hard to bring that back into the social consciousness.
And we didn't know that before you came here and told us today. We appreciate that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You've been a great guest.
Thank you.
It's been nice having you. Chantel.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Hope that you get to go see the Baltimore Opera Company at the Engineers Club at the
Garrett
Jacobs Mansion. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Thanks again.
Hi, I'm Brendan Cook, the Arts Director of the Baltimore Concert Opera. One of the things that I love about rehearsing here is that, and performing here, is that there are other things going on at the club. And tonight there was this networking happy hour And it's always great to sort of see the folks come in for the networking happy hour and then walk by the ballroom and their jaws just drop when they hear these unamplified singers, you know, just singing their faces off. So it's always great to sort of get a nice mix of business folks here and walk by and experience a few minutes of unexpected beauty. So it's one of the things we love about being here. For more information, the best thing to do is to visit our website, which is www.baltimoreconcertopera.com.
I'm nuts about downtown Baltimore's West Side. Hello, I'm John Waters, and I'm proud to say that Baltimore has always been my home. It's the inspiration behind all my films, including Hairspray, Crybaby, Serial Mom, and A Dirty Shame. Let me tell you, there are not a more eccentric, monumental, eclectic, intriguing, and character-filled 28 blocks anywhere in the world, and I'm here to prove it to you. This is where Babe Ruth was born. They tell me he's the best baseball player ever. Not that I'd know. I'm more into theater. Like nearby Arena Players, the nation's longest continuously running African-American community theater. I'm also a big fan of century-old Antique Row, where New York dealers come to buy and later mark up their purchases sky high for their Manhattan buyers. On that same block sits the Yubi Blake National Jazz Institute, housing memorabilia from Baltimore jazz greats like Billie Holiday and, of course, Yubi himself. The West Side is also where the Maryland Historical Society calls home, with its many Baltimore artifacts, including the original manuscript of the Star-Spangled Banner and Nipper, the RCA dog. Oh, and the National Dentistry Museum, the only one of its kind in the U.S., is where George Washington's dentures live. And no, they were never wooden. And right in the middle of it all, as if just to add mystery and intrigue, sits the gravesite of Edgar Allan Poe, my kind of guy. Sometimes I go there to meditate. Now, the thing that defines Baltimore for many people around the world is right here also, our sports franchises, the Orioles and the Ravens, two birds that nest in the West. The Walters Art Museum is also known internationally, featuring an interactive experience exploring 55 centuries of art. A man named Gustav Krug worked at an ironworks foundry on Saratoga Street on the west side way back in 1810, and it's still a working ironworks foundry today. 6th-generation Krugs still work here. In Baltimore, we find a good place, we like to stick with it. Now contrast that with one of the world's most advanced operating room facilities just a couple blocks away at the University of Maryland Medical System. Get ill, get fixed, have an operation in high style. Know of a place where the Beatles, Al Roker, Mother Teresa, and P.T. Barnum all hung out? I'll tell you, the west side of downtown Baltimore. Al Roker? He's done live shows at the world-famous Lexington Market, where you can shuck oysters and see some of the most amazing hairdos in town. The Beatles, Pavarotti, U2, you name them. They have played what used to be called the Civic Center, but is now called the First Mariner Arena. Aren't we grand? Mother Teresa, the Pope, and Many presidents have all visited the Basilica of the Assumption, the first Roman Catholic cathedral in the United States. Photo ops, I assume. And as for P.T. Barnum, he, along with the likes of Cab Calloway, Chick Webb, Milton Berle, and a young, debuting Frank Sinatra, all performed at the world-famous Hippodrome Theater, one of the true cornerstones of the West Side. I saw Cleopatra there, and even shot parts of Cecil B. Demented outside before they fixed it up. The real story today, however, is how all that energy is coming back to the West Side. Bigger, smarter, more fragrant, and more exciting than ever before. Major traveling Broadway shows like Phantom of the Opera and Disney's The Lion King, as well as events such as Russell Simmons' Deaf Poetry Jam and local community events now perform in Baltimore for the first time thanks to the Hippodrome Theater at the Franz Marek Performing Arts Center. The world-renowned University of Maryland has broken ground on a state-of-the-art biopark that puts the West Side on the global map as a major biotechnology hub. The Stewards Building, once a thriving department store, is the very definition of an environmental-friendly green building. And don't let the facade fool you. This office and retail space is wired with the most high-tech, broadband infrastructure technology imaginable. And a luxury apartment building known as the Atrium at Market Center even has a direct connection to the university's main network. There are so many ongoing projects like Market Center West residential units, University of Maryland housing, plus an important redevelopment of an area called the Superblock, where local small business owners have been invited to partner with public and private entities to upgrade their properties. Everyone is playing a role in the renaissance of the West Side. Many major players have come to bat in this more than $1 billion revitalization of downtown's West Side, like Bank of America, who believes so much in this endeavor that it bought an entire city block to renovate and erect a mixed-use development called Centerpoint, offering nearly 400 residential units and 35,000 square feet of retail space. It's the total commitment of Governor Robert Ehrlich, Mayor Martin O'Malley, and all the legislators, along with the Baltimore Development Corporation and the 40-plus members of West Side Renaissance, led by Peter Angelos, that are ensuring the success of what the New York Times calls the largest revitalization plan of its kind in the country. And it's all happening in this one neighborhood called downtown Baltimore's West Side. Infectious, fashionable, full of vim and Baltimore vigor, I walk the West Side streets these days in amazement at what it's become. I'm nuts about downtown Baltimore's West Side. You will be, too.